Let's start question 3. South Africa is in the middle of a potentially wet season as heavy rainfalls continue to fall over large parts of the country, thus improving the country's water situation. Table 3 shows the full storage capacity and dam levels as a percentage of the full storage capacity in different provinces in South Africa on 5 April 2021. The dam level readings are taken on the same day each week. Okay, so here's a table. I did this video before and I messed it up, so don't ever be stressed when you mess things up. I also do, right? So over here, there's your provinces. Here it says net FSC. You're like, oh, what's that, Bert? Well, down here, it actually tells you, right? So remember, don't forget that they sometimes define things at the bottom. So keep your eye there. Then this week, this is the capacity, right? Last week, this was the capacity. And then last year, this is the capacity across each of the provinces. So what's quite important here is, do you see that the capacity can sometimes be above 100%? And that basically means it's like super full, right? Think about like a cup, right? If you pour water into a cup, you can fill it to overflowing, right? And that's effectively what they're saying here. Please just note also the difference between the word capacity and the word volume, right? Volume is just where you say length times breadth times height, which is basically saying how much space does an object take up, okay? Capacity is saying how much of a certain thing can fit into that object, right? So let's think about a cup. Let's have a cup, right? You have the volume of a cup and you can put water into it, right? And there, the capacity and the volume equal the same amount. But if I put rocks into that cup, do you agree with me that you put the rocks in, but it wouldn't fill up the complete volume because there'd be little pockets of air around the rocks, right? And that's the difference between volume and capacity. So just note that. They sometimes ask that if they're feeling a particular mood. So let's continue. It says, determine the date on which the reading of the dam level was taken last week. Okay, so this week it was on 5th of April and we need a week ago. So we need to remember how many days are there in each month. So remember this trick, I've taught it to you guys before. So it goes January, February, March, April, May, June. And wherever month is on the knuckle, it's 31. And wherever it's in between, it's not, right? So January, February, March. So March is 31, April is 30. So let's count back, okay? So we're on the 5th of April. So we have 4th of April, 3rd of April, 2nd of April, 1st of April, 31st of March, because now we know there's 31 days, 30th of March, 29th of March. So a week ago was the 29th of March, 2021. Okay. So it's important to know those things. They often ask questions like that. And students sometimes just get confused with the number of days in a month or in that specific month. So just know that little trick I taught you. Write down in words the actual value of the net FSC for Gauteng. Okay, so Gauteng, it's 128, right? It's not just 128 anything, it's 128 million cubic meters, right? And that's what that little 3 means as an exponent, right, to the m. So we're going to say 100 and 28 million cubic. You want to say meters, right? Because they're cubic meters. Cubic basically is talking about a meter when it's got meter height, breadth, and all the dimensions. Now I can't remember them. Length, breadth, and height, right? There we go. Goodness, it's not rocket science, marks. Okay, let's continue to the next question. Identify the province with the 3rd lowest dam level percentage for last year. Okay, so here it is. So it's saying the 3rd lowest, so not the lowest. The lowest was Western Cape, right? Do you remember when we had that terrible drought? Then the 2nd lowest is the Eastern Cape, which makes sense in the same region. And then the 3rd lowest is going to be KZN, because 61 is the 3rd lowest after 40 and 56. So we're going to say KZN. Right. Then it says, determine which province has the highest percentage increase in dam levels from last year to this year. Okay, so we have to only do increase. So over here, last year to this year, that's negative. So we're not talking about that one. So it's definitely not that one. Then from 77 to 100 is a 23 increase. From 101 to 100, it's a decrease, marginal decrease, but a decrease nonetheless. Then 61 to 73, that's 12. You can do it on your calculator if you can't do it in your head. 70 to 88 is 18. 75 to 89 is 14, 71 to 82 is 11, and you do that the whole way there. Then you say, out of all these increases, which one is the largest? You should be able to see the largest is the Free State. So you say Free State. Okay, and you could be saying, Margie, do I have to show any of that working out? You don't, because look at the mark. It's only 2 marks. So you get 2 marks because they presume that you've done this working, but you don't necessarily get a mark for that working. So just be careful when you're doing this to make sure you're getting it right. Okay. Then it says, calculate the missing value D if the mean, what's another word for mean? Average, percentage storage capacity for the last week was 83%. So basically, what is an average? It's where we add everything together and we divide by the number of data points there are. So here there's 9, right? Because there's 9 provinces. So we're going to add all of those together, divide by 9, and that equals 83. So we're going to have to then kind of manipulate it a little bit. So this, from a mathematical perspective, is one of the most difficult sort of representations of questions, because you have to have a little bit of basic algebra, but I back you. You can do it. So I'm going to say 83, that's my average, equals D plus 99 plus 101 plus 73 plus 88 plus 89 plus 82. You get the picture, right? Plus the last D. How many are there? 9. So let's now just clean this up. This D plus that D, if you remember your basic algebra, you have D plus D is 2D, right? I don't know why I had to clap, that was a bit extreme. Okay, then we have to add all of those together. So we say 99 plus 101 plus 73 plus 88 plus 89 plus 82 plus 105. Okay. There. Okay, not done. Want to get rid of this 9. What's the opposite operation to divide? Times what you do to the one side, you have to do to the other side. So this has become 2D because those 2 cancel. Like that. And that side we have to say, what is 83 times 9? 747, like a Boeing, right? Then here we want to get rid of that. We just want to get this by itself. So we can get rid of that. So we're going to subtract it off that side because it's added. If you subtract off, cancels. Right there. Then you get 2D on that side because those 2 cancel. But this we have to subtract. Ooh, we must type in correctly. So that's 110. Now it's saying 2D equals 110. What does 1D equal? Well, you divide both sides by 2. Right? Divide it by 2. And your answer is 55. But it's not 55 anything. It's 55%. So just be quite careful there. Right? This question is a little bit more involved, but be careful not to work too fast. Even if you just write this line here and you kind of get lost in the detail there, you can still get marks for writing that line. So don't completely not attempt it. Okay. And it says, determine as a fraction the probability of randomly selecting a province with data levels, not data, dam levels exceeding 100%. for both this week and last week. Now, what's interesting here is when students interpreted this, they got it wrong. And I actually got it wrong the first time I did it. So don't be discouraged. They said a province that has a dam level exceeding 100% for both of these, right? So here, both of those are 55, so it's not that. Here, not that. Neither of them exceed. Here, this one exceeds 100. But this one doesn't. So this one doesn't meet our criteria because it has to be both last week and this week, right? It's not saying where does it have at least one of the 2 time periods or the days where it's above 100. It's saying both of them have to be. So none of these are except for this little guy here, right? So it's just the Northern Cape. So out of the provinces, there's 9. There's only one that meets our criteria. So we have 9 options. And the only way we can get what we want is 1. So remember, that's how we do probability. What do we want? How many ways can we get what we want? Only 1, right? And how many different options do we get? 9. It says we can leave it as a fraction. So we are done and dusted and we can move on. Let's look at the last question for this video. Calculate in cubic meters the actual net FSC of the Free State for last week. Okay, so this week it was 100. Last week it was 99%. So we have to take this amount, 15657, and we're going to times it by 99%, right? Because we're basically saying this equals 100%, but actually last week it was only 99% of that. So we pop it in here. 1657 times by 99 shift percent. Pop it in, and there is our answer. Now be careful here. What students do is they just leave it at that. They're like, I did a fabulous job. But that's not the answer, right? Because you have to put in the units. And what are the units? Million, right? So you have to say, this is the answer, right? So it's not 15,543. It's actually 15,543 million meters cubed, right? And that's quite important to make sure that you're doing that correctly, because you'll lose marks if you don't do that correctly. Okay, right. Let's move on to the next question.